Hi there, and welcome to a new series called Dog's Auto Thoughts, which will actually share its space with mixed auto feelings as they are very similar, though here it's a like or dislike thing rather than having mixed feelings towards something. I figured, why not start off with a car that just got revealed, the 2020 Ford Mustang Mach-E. I despise this abomination, not because it exists, but because someone at Ford decided it would be a great idea to put the Mustang name on a crossover. There's probably some misconceptions you might have right off the bat. I don't hate this because it's an electric car. While I know I said in my small engine muscle cars video that I would rather have a base model EcoBoost than the 900 horsepower electric Mustang that was at SEMA, I wouldn't mind if they did come out with an electric Mustang, because I'm sure they would still have the gasoline versions for people who want them, with the only downside being all of the electric Mustang owners being I'm not all of them, but most of them, being little snowflakes and going, get with the times and buy an electric Mustang, boomer, which is actually kind of how some of the Mustang Mach-E supporters are acting right now, because it's an electric car, it's the future, it doesn't have emissions, it has a quicker 0 to 60 than the Mustang of the past. Of course, looking at like the dislike ratios for the thing, more people like the car than hate it, though that's because obviously there's more people who aren't car enthusiasts that just see this as another car than people who are car enthusiasts and know the Mustang as a sporty coupe and see this as just a crossover of Mustang badges. Yes, there are some Mustang owners who like it, and that's fine because it's their opinion. They can enjoy the car if they want. However, this is my opinion here, and it looks to be many others' opinions too, as it's causing controversy in the Mustang community with how it just isn't a Mustang. No, the reason I don't like this thing is just because it's a four-door crossover that's being called a Mustang to generate attention. The car itself isn't bad. The SUV and crossover market is booming, the electric market is growing, and it makes sense for Ford to release an electric crossover. The mistake they made was where they decided to give it the Mustang badge and name. Nothing about this car is Mustang. It mostly looks like a stretched out version of the Ford Escape from most angles, the Ford Edge from the front, both a cover over the grille, and the rear looks like a mashup of both the Alfa Romeo Stelvio and Peugeot 3008 to make a bootleg Jaguar I-Pace. None of its exterior design is Mustang, and even the tri-bar lights just make it look more like a sloped roof version of the 3008. I'm not saying they have to change the visuals. It's actually pretty good looking, but it shows that it just isn't a Mustang and more deserving of normal Ford badges and to just be called the Ford Mach-E or something. Even the interior has nothing to do with Mustang. A rectangle screen super glued to the dash for an instrument cluster, and a giant Tesla-style screen super glued to the center of the dash for everything in your car. I could see why they did the giant screen in the middle, because that's a slowly starting trend of cars now, but both screens just look like an afterthought. Even if this were more Mustang-based, taking on a more Mustang-like appearance both inside and out, I still wouldn't be too favorable towards it. And yeah, even if it used an internal combustion engine, because like I said, I'm not hating on this because it's electric. The new Chevy Blazer is styled off of the Camaro. The exterior actually kind of resembles the 2019 Camaro SS when you have the RS trim level. And the interior is heavily 6th Gen Camaro inspired. However, you don't see General Motors calling it a Camaro Cross with Cross being in red SS font. They called it a Blazer, which also sparked controversy, but I'll have a separate video for that in the near future. While Ford is over here being all, hey look, this is a 100% electric Mustang SUV for a new generation. Buy it, buy it. Ford is pretty much doing what Mitsubishi did with the Eclipse. In recent years, Mitsubishi came out with another crossover and called it the Eclipse Cross, which has nothing to do with the actual Mitsubishi Eclipse that came years before, or that actually ended years before, but, you know, still they revived it as a crossover. But they still called it an Eclipse, making fans of the actual Eclipse outraged, because it's using the name of a sports car, decent crossover or not. Now, the Eclipse Cross doesn't do well in general compared to other more successful crossovers. And I don't think the same will happen with the Mach-E, as, while yes, expensive, it seems to have better quality than, let's be honest, any current production Mustang. But that doesn't really make it a Mustang. And I know some people argue about how, oh, they brought back the Charger as a sedan, and people were outraged about that, but they grew out of it. Yeah, I know that, but also the Charger had a 20-year gap between the Charger before it became a sedan and the Charger as a sedan. Something Bladed Angel actually said in his video, though, of course, this is going to be a little bit tweaked, is that there's going to be soccer moms who buy or lease this thing and are going to drop their kids off at soccer practice in this thing, and while talking to fellow soccer moms will start talking about their Mustang, which is actually just an electric crossover with Mustang badges. If you want to see more about how this just isn't a Mustang, go check out Bladed Angel's video after the Mach-E, about the Mach-E after this, if you haven't already. For performance, the Mach-E is quick. Of course, most electric cars are quick. 0 to 60 in the 3-second range for the owners to brag about, even though only about 4 Mach-E owners will even consider taking this thing to the track and use all of it. I've seen some argue, look at how fast it is. How can you say this performance isn't Mustang name worthy? Well, by that logic, I guess the Ford GT is a Mustang as well. And like I said before, barely anyone is going to use that acceleration, so just like many Tesla fans that brag about their acceleration, a lot of them are going to go, why would you waste your money on that boring, slow Mustang GT350R? Should have spent your money on a Mustang Mach-E. Better performance, more fun, clean, and silent. Stop compensating with your loud V8. You like sound? Listen to the radio like a normal person. You have a quiet mode? I don't care. I don't want to chance you waking up my future babies at 9 in the morning. They'll need their beauty sleep. There's even people saying, you didn't watch the reveal. They explained why they made it. And yeah, they explained why they made the car, but not exactly why they called it a Mustang, and any reasoning they had was just completely ridiculous. The reveal itself was just highly disappointing. They had this amazing thing going through not only the different generations, but also all the changes and special versions of the Mustang over the years. They could have saved this for something better, but was instead wasted on a Mustang-branded Escape. Doug DeMuro actually recently made a video today, actually, as I'm recording this. Same day I'm recording this. Doug DeMuro recently made a video on his thoughts about the thing so far, because of all the controversy and all that, saying how it was smart for them to put the Mustang name on the car. His reasoning is ridiculous. Now, like I said, if he thinks it's good in his opinion, if he thinks it's good, it's his opinion, but his reasoning was, Tesla owns the electric car market, and companies have to use recognizable names or they'll fail. Which I find pretty stupid. He made a point of how people don't say, I want an electric car, but rather, I want a Tesla. And that makes sense, because outside of a bit of flaws, Tesla makes probably the best electric cars out there right now. Yes, I'm actually supporting Tesla on something here for once. He backed this up by saying how the Chevy Volt, and Honda Clarity are failing because they're not as recognizable. but that's simply not true. There's tons of Volts on the road, and it was a highly recognized car until they discontinued it because of the Bolt. And not to mention the Chevy Volt wasn't even full electric. It went like 32 miles on the battery alone, and then the gas engine kicks in. If the Bolt ever fails, it would be because it's a crappy, it would be because it's crappy, clunky, and as Doug even said himself, the uncool electric car. The Clarity Electric is straight ugly and has short range compared to the Model 3, the base Model 3. Even then, Tesla wasn't always a recognized company. The Chevy Volt and Nissan Leaf existed before the Model S. Yes, the first Tesla Roadster was out before the Leaf, but the Roadster wasn't exactly a car that's driven daily. It was pretty much an electric converted Lotus Elise, I think it was, right? Elise it was based off of. These cars aren't even failing. The Volt was discontinued to put money into developing autonomous driving for the Bolt. And also because, yes, Volt sales were dropping, but I highly suspect that's because of the Bolt. And because the thing only went 32 miles on the electric motor alone, or on the battery alone, and then the gas engine kicked in and started charging the battery for like another 130 miles, which is pretty weak if you compare it to something like the Model 3, or even the Bolt. And the rest of the cars that, like the Bolt, the Leaf, the Clarity Electric, all that, are still around, so obviously they're not failing. Yes, Tesla is making a lot more sales, but that's just because they make better cars. Ford doesn't have to call this electric crossover a Mustang. It will probably sell the same if they just called it the Mach-E. The Mach-E is not a bad... So in conclusion, the Mach-E is not a bad car, but it's also not a Mustang. If it just had Ford badges and no Mustang badges, and was just called the Ford Mach-E or something else, which Mach-E already sounds like a good name for it, I would actually be fine with the car existing, even if they kept the GT as one of the trim levels. Because yes, GT is one of the trim levels. But the problems all started with how they decided to call this and advertise this as a Mustang. I've seen many comments about the car that are hate, about how it's not a Mustang, and how it's a sin, a disgrace to the Mustang name. I completely agree. While there's still a couple more reveals on the way, I think this is the worst reveal of 2019. Period.